Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, I'm going to look at this. This is The Nanny from 1965. And it's a Hammer production. I suppose it could be described as a Hammer thriller. But in a way, there are elements of horror in this. It's a really brilliant film, as it really is. This is just a classic. It really is a British Hammer film classic. That's a great way of describing it. It's in black and white. It's 91 minutes long. It's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's accepted that this is a really great film. I think that it's because of the cast in many ways, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It's written by Jimmy Sangster, of course, and produced by Jimmy Sangster. It was actually based on a novel, The Nanny, by Evelyn Piper, which I think was a pseudonym name anyhow. It's directed by Seth Holt. Now, he directed The Taste of Fear 1961, which is a Hammer film that had Christopher Lee in that one. He also directed Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, but didn't complete it, unfortunately, because he died. That was from 1971. It's very tragic that he died. Just he didn't complete the film, but there we are. It's a good film as well, Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. It's filmed at Elstree Studios again, and just, surrounding areas and locations. Music is by Rodney Bennett again. He pops up quite a bit. Great music always. So it's the cast that we really look at now, because it's headed by the legendary Betty Davis. She plays the nanny. This stage of her career, and she's had such a long, wonderful career, she plays a lot of these roles, and she's brilliant. She's still brilliant, and going right back, as she goes right back to the 1930s. But here we are in her later years, playing some great roles. She was, if you remember, also in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which is from 1964. She's making some great films, and that is, with Joan Crawford. It's an amazing film. She's just looking at a few other later films that she made. Burnt Offerings from 1976. We've looked at that one before. She's in that. Fantastic. And she was, of course, in The Return from Witch Mountain as well, 1978, which is a very popular film as well. Very popular. And say she's in this film, dominates the film. That's great. Now, another word, William Dix plays Joey. Joey, he's great. He's a child actor. What can I say about him? He's just fantastic. I don't know what happened, if he did make any other films, because there's nothing down in his biography. But in this role, he's brilliant. And we see a lot through his eyes in this film. And that's really important part of the film. Then we've got Wendy Craig playing Virginia She's the mother of Joey, and she, of course, was in The Servant, 1963, the film, Joseph Losey film, fantastic Dirk Bogarde, is a classic film, which we will be coming up on this channel. So, yes. Then she was also, I think, famous, Wendy Craig, for a lot of TV work. I remember particularly Butterflies she was in that. She was very popular in that. Then we've got Jill Bennett. She plays Aunt Pen. She's very good as well in this. She was in Amicus film The Skull, 1965. She's in Bond film, For Your Eyes Only. But reading about her, there's a lot of tragic, tragedy in her life. And she committed suicide in 1990. It's very sad, but she's very good in it. She's quite an important role, saying in this, yeah. Then we've got James Villiers playing Bill Frayne. He's the father, and he's a very recognisable face. I think you see him. Going right back, he was in Carry On Sergeant, 1958. Yes, 1958. He was in Carry On Sergeant. Great film. He was also in Repulsion, 1965, Polanski's absolute masterpiece. Even though that's the first film. Yes. Then he was in Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, so you can see we've got a connection with Seth Holt, the director. That was from 1971. He was also, as I always talk about this, Asylum. He was in Asylum, the great Amicus film from 1972. Incidentally, he was in For Your Eyes Only, James Bond film, 1981. There you are. Then we've got Pamela Franklin playing Bobby Medman. She's the girl that Joey sort of befriends. She's the daughter, young daughter of the doctor. They live above, a flat above. Now, she is an interesting actress. She was in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, 1969, which is a massive film at the time. Of course, we've covered her in And Soon the Darkness, 1970. What a film. That film is an amazing film. She was in that. Yeah. And also she was in The Legend of Hell House, 1973. Fantastic. And then finally we got Jack Watling playing the Doctor, Dr. Medman. He's more of a lot of sort of smaller roles going right back again. But the most noticeable ones that I noticed in a couple of films that just jumped out is in Reach for the Sky, 1956, which is the wartime biography of Douglas Bader. That's from 1956. And he's also in a Titanic film, yes, A Night to Remember, 1958. He's in that. It's a classic Titanic film. Right. So there's the cast. But as I say, in many ways, it's just dominated by Bette Davis. How could it not be, you say? So what is the story about? Well, it's got many layers in many ways, but Joey, he returns from this, well, I suppose you call it an institution. He's been there for 2 years, and what we see, he's been a very disturbed child, and this all relates back to the death of his sister, who drowned in the bath, and he blames the nanny. That's it, straight off, and he doesn't like the nanny. he sees her as something dangerous and a threat to the whole household. His mother, she is really a broken figure. All this has come from um, what has happened, losing a daughter, and she's almost like a child herself now. And the nanny, because there's no actual children in the house, the nanny's looking after her. You can see that relationship there, and she manipulates in many ways that relationship as the nanny, because the nanny is very much a manipulating figure who we have to decide is a damaged person herself, and is Joey right about her? That's what the film is asking. We're seeing through his eyes. The father is a diplomat. He's quite really a more colder kind of figure, really. He's just involved in his work. This again has, I suppose, affected him, and he's put himself in his work. He doesn't really seem to understand his wife. He has no time for that. He's putting himself into his work. And this is also a time of change in the 60s, and they're very much a family of the older age, pre-war kind of society. They're obviously a rich kind of people living this life, which is interesting. Very interesting, because the 60s is such a changing period. As we see glimpses of that as well. I think reflected maybe in the daughter of the doctor below that Joey has a friendship with. We see that sort of era as well. It is all about guilt, blame, who's in control, and is Joey really a disturbed child who can effectively be never cured of this because of the nanny? That is the question. And this is what we get in the film. A real study of all this, and it's brilliantly done. Dominated, as I say, by Betty Davis. And I totally recommend this film if you've never seen this. It is an outstanding film, and it's produced by Hammer. Yes, Hammer have produced this film, and it just goes so well. It's, you feel it just sails through this film, and you're intrigued by it. It just keeps you going, and the inevitable conclusions, I think, fantastic. That's it. I can't recommend any more than this. Now, I've had this film for quite a few years. One of the early Blu-rays that I ever got. This is the one that I've got. And there's been, I think, more versions I've done of this. Because it's a vanilla version. There's no extras on this. It's got the Hammer thing there on there. I don't know. I don't even know where I picked this up. But it's a very early Blu-ray that I had in my collection, and there's the disc. It's great. I'm sure you look up, you can be able to get hold of a copy now of this excellent film. There it is. So, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe, and you'll find out more films that I review, and TV series, and collecting, bit of music, usual stuff, And if you haven't subscribed, and you do watch, please subscribe, because then we let you know when I produce videos. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like. It helps with algorithms and all that sort of stuff, which is, hopefully then more people might enjoy, or perhaps they won't enjoy my videos, but there we are. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down, because I really love reading them, and I always reply to your comments. Yeah, that'd be great. And it all costs notes, as I say all the time, which you can't say fairer than that, can you? You can't say fairer than that. And that's it. Yes. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.